Hello from Ouluzone in Finland. It is boiling hot up here. We're here for round 5 and round 6 of RallyX Nordic 2021. My name's Andrew Coley. Joining me on commentary is Hal Ridge. It's the first time we've been to this circuit. It's the first time the championship's been to this circuit. We're almost looking sunburnt. Look at this. We can see ourselves down here, just admiring my tan. Yeah, it is hot, hot, hot. We're 100 miles from the Arctic Circle. In kilometres, that's 160 for our European friends. It's hot.
It is very warm, isn't it? I'm sweating profusely.
Did we mention it's hot? I just want to be really clear about that. But we're excited. So, Hal, this is a new track for me. I think this is actually a new track for you,
It is, yeah.
Which is unusual.
Yeah, I've been to quite a few tracks in Finland. This is a little similar to many of them, but also has its own quirks. And I think the heat this weekend is going to play a big factor as well.
There's a lot of tarmac corners here, as you can see from our drone shots. And people are talking tyres already, really long. Look in the middle of the shot there and you can see a super long left-hander. And that is black tarmac, super grippy. Joker laps in the middle of your shot now with the earth-moving machinery on there, grading the track, wetting things down. We've seen a little bit of dust this morning, nothing too hectic. Start-finish straight is underneath you. We're going to be guiding you through just where the track goes and what we think are the key points as we figure them out, to be honest, because we haven't seen any racing yet. We simply practiced this morning. Most people went out and did a couple of runs. Let's have a look at the Joker lap merge. So this is the merge. So the standard lap, I think that's from the far end, is it? I think it is. Yes, it is, yep. So the standard lap is on the right and they come down the gravel section, which is off to the side of the track. And then we've got the Joker lap on the left-hand side, which is kind of tarmacy.
So this is the merge, isn't it? This is where they merge into the next right-hander. So both the entry and the exit to the Joker, as we'll see through the course of Q1, are quite interesting in the way they're placed amongst the standard lap. And the first corner is very tight, whereas the second corner where the merge is much more open, and then they come up to this long corner you can see now on the screen. A lot of abrasive, long tarmac corners around this circuit. Yeah.
So we spoke to Johan this morning. He wasn't keen to reveal to us what his tyre strategy was, which was fair enough, because he's so clever, isn't he? He said, "When is this going out?" I said, "Maybe before Q1." Yeah, he goes, "We'll talk about it later." So he knows the score. So he only did the one lap in free practice this morning to save tyres. That was in FP1. Niklas did 3. Niklas Gronholm was here again this weekend, and when he did his 3 laps, he said that actually got a bit too excited and started to push a bit too much. Fraser McConnell went out and cycled a set of new tyres. Cooper Tyres logo is on the screen right now, so it seems a good time to talk about tyres. They have a set number of tyres, just like in the World Championship, in most championships now, which is to keep a lid on cost. How's that working here for Nordic?
So you can use, in your first event, you can use 8 new, and then subsequently for anyone doing a second round of the championship, regardless of how many they've done, you get 4 new and 4 used. So you can pick your 4 best used and from a previous event. And someone like Philip German, who didn't get as far through in Julius as he wanted to in the second round in Julius, he actually has he has more tyres in his back pocket than maybe someone that had to use them through the course of the event. But as mainly as a rule, someone like Gustafson and Gronholm will have 4 brand new to start the day with and 4 used.
And then drivers who are just joining us here, so Juha Rutkanen, who of course starred last year at World RX at Kuvula. He's not in the Hyundai this time, but he starred there, and he comes here of course with 8 tyres because he hasn't competed in Nordic so far this year. So there's a little bit of a mix out there, and I mean, I think we've done this long enough to know that I think it will be crucial.
Yeah, and I think especially crucial here. Maybe in Julius or somewhere, of course, it's always critical. Time management is always critical and becomes an ever-increasing part of rallycross. But I think around somewhere like this that's so abrasive, especially in this temperature, I know we keep going on about the heat because we're English, but yeah, I think that's going to be a massive factor.
It's mid-20s in terms, I'd say, 25, 26 degrees Celsius is what it feels like. It's crazy, really, when you think, say, 100 miles from the Arctic Circle. This is the most north I've ever been. But I have to say, it's really lovely to be here. We went into Oulu town centre last night, and Finland has just started to ease its restrictions in the north, not so much in the south, and all the bars were open. Everything was absolutely packed. It felt really normal, and for you guys at home, if you're waiting for normal, it felt great. It felt really great, didn't it? Yeah,
we're incredibly lucky to be able to travel in these times, aren't we? And we had a nice evening last night. Couldn't work out when to go to bed because it's so light. I know we're running into the evening this evening, but I don't think we're really going to notice that much difference, are we? Because at 10 o'clock it's still broad daylight. It's Yeah, I think I can't work out whether we're higher than Reykjavik in Iceland or not, but I think it's up there with as far north as I've been.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I had somebody message me on Twitter and say, "Oh, are you going to be racing under the lights? This is going to be awesome." I was like, "Well, it's late, but we won't be under the lights because sunset isn't until when is it until? I'm going to check.
11:30 or something like that.
Yeah,
it's going to look approximately like it does on the screen at the moment. Maybe the sun won't be quite as high.
Sunset tonight is 11:52 p.m. and sunrise is 02:41. So the sun will be down for less than 3 hours, and that just means it doesn't get dark. It just doesn't get dark at all. It kind of goes. We've had that a lot at Trondheim, of course. Hell in Norway with the World Championship, similar time of year to this, very similar time. Probably almost the same weekend as this. It's been in the past. Maybe 1 week later.
A little later, yeah.
Yeah, and when's midsummer? Is around 21st, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So it is. Yeah, the day's incredible. Last night, got up in the middle of the night and just, oh my God, is it the morning? It's not the morning. It's 3 a.m. and the sun's up. It's just mad.
That's one of the best feelings ever, isn't it? When you wake up and think it's time to get up and realise you've got 4 more hours in bed. Perfect.
It was good. Yeah, I have to say it was good. What do the birds do? If any ornithologists out there's that bird people it is, isn't it? Look at me knowing stuff. What do they do when it doesn't get dark, mate? They normally have a little sing, don't they? And then they have a sleep for a bit.
Terribly confused, I imagine.
Well, you must be knackered, mustn't they? When they're always awake, flying around, wondering what on earth's going on. I mean, it's confusing enough for us. Anyway, luckily the bars do close. So people have to go home in the end. And we're going to be going racing today. So lots of the teams were staying Oulu as well. And they were saying how much fun they were having too. So we will be headed towards Q1 very shortly. We are on round 5 of 7. We've got 5 and 6 here this weekend in Finland. I'm just looking for my statistics in here. And then, of course, we've got round 7 later on this year at Arvika in Sweden. Now, they get to drop a score, the teams, but they can't, crucially, drop Arvika. So if you want to win this championship, you're going to have to go to that last round. It can't be a dropped score. And then whichever is your worst score, you get to drop, which is great for us because that means live maths. At the moment, Johan Gustafson leads Supercar from Fraser McConnell by 13 points. Sondre Evjen is third. He's just a further 4 points back. So that's 100 to Johan, 87 to Fraser, and 83 to Sondre. Niklas Gronholm's actually in fourth. And don't forget, Gronholm didn't do the first 2 rounds in Neeson. He's on 57 points, equal with Enzo E. There it is, look. They knew exactly what we wanted, didn't they? Sliding the old graphic in there, just when we're talking about championships. Looking down that list, so this weekend, Sabo's not here. Carlson is. I saw Midtschlack earlier rushing to try and get one last run in free practice. They'd actually closed the pre-grid and they reopened it for him. No Markland or Linneman this weekend, but all the championship top fighters are here. Gronholm and Johan Kristoffersson had actually had a little text exchange after Hollis and saying, well, are you going? I'll go if you're going. Do you want to go? Yeah, go on, then we'll go. So everybody's gone. Good, can't wait to see the fight. Supercar Lights, Tommy Howman. Absolutely brilliant performance from him with 2 wins and 2/3 so far this season. Nils Andersen, P2. Equal on points, look, with Linus Osland on the right, 87. So they're 14 points back. Then Olofsson, who was so dominant at the first round. Olofsson had a little bit of a run wide today during free practice, just out onto the gravel, nothing major. Riasson leading Crosscar from Hallberg and Osterberg. 3 of the most spectacular drivers you will ever see, and I've already been watching them backing it into the last corner. They come down a big long gravel straight and back it in. Then you've got Nittish, Enholm, Aronham, Baldins, Larpety, Eganson and Eric Anderson are your top 10. Not entirely sure which of those drivers is here. I've seen most of them this morning, so I think we can. It's a slightly smaller entry here in Finland, but I think we can still expect fire from Crosscar. Open 2-wheel drive, Simon Tiger with that epic car. Rotary-powered BMW rear-wheel drive Send machine is leading, having won every round so far. And Crosscar Junior. So these drivers as young as 11 years old. Lucas Anderson leading on 107 points from Alex Gustafson, Jonathan Julalami, Eric Nilsson and Rasmus Persson. Lauri Hallinen as well, Hallinen racing at home. He, of course, was the provider of much licorice in the commentary box last time out, which was Andreas Backrud was very happy about. So he was in here as well. He's not here either. Do you think he's at home in some kind of licorice coma?
Licorice stupor.
Yeah. Marvellous. Right. How long do we go racing? Can I see cars on the line? I think we can. There we go. We've got a truck coming down the hill. Are they wetting the track over on the far side? They might just be taking the last edge off the dust before we get cracking. Looking forward to this. So it's a brand new circuit for myself, Andrew Coley and Hal Ridge on commentary here for you. RallyX Nordic Round 5. Round 6 will be tomorrow. Today runs from lunchtime through until around 11 p.m. local time. That's sort of 10 p.m. most of Europe, 9 p.m. in the UK. So in the UK, you've still got time to do something once we finish racing. Crosscar Junior. Right, this one then. Hartenmar, Ullilami, Hallen and Gustafson, Lund, Arlanda. As soon as that truck's off the track, we'll be away. Top 10 are in the first 2 heats in a jumbled up, random. Jumbled up's okay, isn't it? Jumbled up order. So they always get to race against people who are roughly on the same championship points as them. Today is not the day to be sitting waiting in those cars. I know we keep saying it, it's absolutely boiling. The reason we keep saying is it makes a massive difference. It makes a big difference to your tactics, it makes a big difference to your tyres, your fatigue. This is where your fitness needs to be absolutely on point. So it's our man in the truck here is holding us up a little bit, I'm afraid. I think that's the track PA system we can hear.
Seems to be. Watering the track will be useful for the first couple of races, make it terribly slippery for the juniors, and then quickly it'll dry up so fast in this heat.
I wonder if they'll go out in between the classes or not.
They can. That's all they can do. They can't go out between the races in each class because obviously they can't change the track conditions. So
even though the track conditions are going to be evolving like mad anyway, aren't they? They're going to go from wet to dry through. It's actually with fastest first. This might actually be one of those times where that's really going to affect the runners.
Yeah, it'd be a good equaliser, wouldn't it? The wet is generally a good equaliser, isn't it? So this will be a good case in point.
It will, and it's the big braking zone down into that last right-hander. Okay, finally we get a thumbs up for our first heat race of the weekend. Hatmar, Ullilami, Hallen and Gustafson and Arlanda. And we're going to talk you around this track on their first couple of laps. Here we go. Ready to race light comes on, top right of your screen. You can see what they can see. That goes out. Green light, the weekend's underway. For round 5. Ullilami with the best start from P2. Hattenmar left on the line. Ullilami runs out wide, going to try and take the line. It's super tight in that first corner. Locked wheeled and sideways. A lot of dust on the track. Standard lap then goes left. You can see it on the gravel. Ignore the tarmac straight. The rallycross track is the gravel straight down the outside. You saw one car go to the Joker. 2 cars, you think, Hal?
Yeah, 2 cars.
It was, sorry, yeah, it was.
Hattemar had a terrible start, didn't he? I wonder if just didn't have enough revs and bogged down. It's very abrasive on the start line, and because there's been 2 free practice sessions now, maybe the rubber's built up and he just didn't quite have it hooked up. He's obviously taking the Joker on the first lap to get his head down out front. The cross cars actually look quite small on this circuit, don't they? Because it's such a wide expanse of tarmac in places.
You see there as they come from the dry tar onto the wet tar, which is just before they get to this straight, and this is possibly the biggest braking zone of that was Gustafson sideways on the brakes into the last corner. Yeah, I think that's maybe the biggest braking zone. It's on a long gravel straight, Hal.
Ullilami's pulling out quite a gap here on Gustafson, isn't he? Yeah, you're right, Andrew. I think that is probably the heaviest braking zone there. It's quite an open corner here. We can't quite see it in that camera shot. But on the next camera round, you'll see it's quite open where the Joker merge. Watch as it pans round now. So I think the Joker merges are going to be really interesting this weekend, especially in the car classes when the cars take up so much more of the road than the cross cars do. We've seen cross cars go 3 wide in places where you'd never get cars 3 wide, which obviously makes the racing fantastic.
Yeah, I do love a bit of cross-car. I have to say, I realised how much I was going to love this class this morning when they were out for free practice, and you're just sort of sitting watching, mesmerised, loads of RPM, and people chucking it side. But you can see their different driving styles again, and that wet patch as they come onto this gravel straight.
The dust already, even though they've watered. They haven't watered just on the transition between the loose and the tarmac there at the end of the lap, and the dust coming up is significant. I'm pretty sure they're going to have to water this through the session. Look at it, you can just see the dip there on the camera. I'm surprised by that, because normally you don't see the undulations in the circuit. on a TV screen like you do in real life. But this isn't flat at all, is it? There's quite a big rise in the middle of the circuit.
There's also quite a lot of camber on the corners, so particularly
great angle there.
Yes.
You can see it on that shot, can't you?
So yeah, you can see in the background the camber going one way, and you can actually see it again going back the other way. So the corners have all got camber in your favour, but all of that is why we're talking about tyres. It loads the tyres up like crazy. You know, this is black grippy tarmac with a camber on a hot day. You can see down the front straight here what we mean about the differences in the tarmac. This is slightly older, I guess, tarmac, but it's going to be hard work. Joker lap now, so heading off to the right-hand side. You can see the entry to the Joker Hal is much tighter, and then on loose and away. In fact, I think that's the only gravel corner is in the Joker lap.
It is, yeah. The other gravel sections are on the straights, as you see. That's Hallinan, isn't it, coming down to the Joker merge and pops into second. But I was talking to some of the Lights drivers after free practice, and they were saying, yes, it's very abrasive and it's killing the tyres, but at the same time, these long corners are actually quite low grip because the tyre's moving around a lot underneath. So it's a really strange offset of high grip and abrasion, but it being quite slippery for the chassis as well. So I think, yeah, quite a few dynamics across the whole circuit, and that's going to make it fascinating.
Into the last corner, closer than we thought. Might be halfway through that one. It's Yililami who takes it from Hallen and Hattenmar, Gustafson and Lundalander. There you go, confirmation of our first win of the day, 331.655 for Yililami. Nice to get a win on home territory. Well, I say home territory. We said that to Niklas this morning. He was like, I live far away. It's like, yep, fair enough. But he knew what we meant. 331.655.
It's a very Niklas response to a question like that, isn't it, or a statement like that?
Yeah. Left to right, Michael Uito, Rasmus Persson, Pontus Oskarsson, Lucas Anderson and Eric Nilsson. Great start from Persson. Going to shut the door on the inside line, needs to hold that inside line. We saw in the last race the door was left open, leaves the door open a little bit, but I think actually where the track isn't that clean offline, it's maybe not quite so easy to chuck it up the inside. You could end up really deep.
Poor start for Pontus Oskarsson, I think, wasn't it? Again, just gripped up too much. I think, yeah, it's the first time they've done starts. You know, they do practice starts. Generally, in the free practice sessions, you probably go a little bit higher on the RPM than you would do for a perfect race start. And yeah, they'll be learning across the course of the day, so little experience, and that's really going to play into the hands of some of the Finns who've been here for Finnish Championship events in the last few years. Niklas has won here a couple of times in the past. Niklas Gronholm, that is, in Supercar, has won here a couple of times in the past, but a long while ago. Some of these cross-car drivers have been here much more recently. That is... just wait for the timing screen to update, because all the white ones... Oh, and that's... Persson, isn't it, I think, in... Sorry, it's Anderson that's lost ground there. Anderson in the blue machine's got a problem and has slowed. He was all over the back of Nilsson for second, but has run into trouble.
Not what you need at the start of a day, particularly when it's this one-day format that we've got double headers again here. So it's a whole day of racing today. 3 qualifiers, semis and a final. We think only 2 semi-finals for each category this time because Crosscar's entry isn't quite so big. So when Crosscar have a huge entry, they end up with 3 semis, but this time it'll only be 2, and that will mean that the top 3 from each of those semis will go up. I think we've got the top 4 from that championship fight at least are here. I'm enjoying seeing a new track, I have to say. It's been a long time. I'm trying to think what my last new track was. What was new to the World Championship in 18 and 19? Nitro Rallycross was new to me in 18 at Utah. When was the last track to join the World Championship? I'm trying to think. We'll go back.
South Africa must have been the end of 17, mustn't it?
Yeah, of course we were supposed to... Oh, Spa.
Of course, Spa.
Spa 19.
How could you forget? How could I forget?
Yes, how dare you, Hal? The font of
I am
all rallycross.
disappointed.
I know you are. He'll be beating himself up about that for about 6 weeks if you're watching at home. Hal's currently chastising himself harshly for, especially as I remembered it for him, that would be terribly. He's really upset already. This is brilliant. This is a small win for me. Win for Coley in Q1 as well. Brilliant. I can't tell you how pleased I am. That's so unusual. So as I lead the factual race this weekend, it's Michael Uito who leads from Rasmus Persson, and me and Hal are cracking up in the corridor. Sorry. We do enjoy this, we really do. So this gravel section down here, I'm trying to figure out where's, if anywhere, is going to break up. So new track to us again, just like when we've been to places like Spa or Nitro Rallycross, and you see the way that a track develops in different ways. And how the only braking zone really that I think might cut up is that long one onto the tarmac at the end of the straight, which we'll see them in a moment. This is the incredibly long left-hander. See him bang down a couple of gears. I'll tell you what I would advise you to do if you're at home is go on your phone, go to your favourite map app, you want to begin with a G probably, and stick in Ouluzone, O-U-L-U zone, and go and have a look at the track, because that was the first time I'd seen some onboards of that long left-hander in the middle. There we go, race done, won by Uito, but you cannot get your head around how long that left-hander is until you see it from above. So jump on Google Maps and let us know what you think about how long it is. It's crazy. It's almost like the whole way around a keyhole, Hal.
Yeah, it is. It is ludicrously long, isn't it? And I think I don't totally agree with you about the breaking up on the gravel. I think that where the joke emerges is actually going to be, because that's into a corner, more into the corner, isn't it? As we look at the results of that race, Michael Uito taking the race win. Interesting, Lucas Andersson's problem. Remember he slowed on lap 2. That obviously rectified itself. Well, he rectified it because he was onto the back of Gustafson before the end of the race there. But yeah, I think both of the loose sections are going to be cutting up a bit at the final point of them.
Getting a few messages come in. You can get hold of us on social media if you want, of course. Either myself or Hal or RallyX Nordic's account. We probably won't see it if you go to RallyX Nordic. By all means, drop us a line on Insta or Twitter. You got anything, any facts, anything you want to tell us? Knock yourselves out. There you go. That's a good way of showing you how the jump start works as well. So top right of your screen, you saw the red light flash and then the number 5. And that was to tell everybody that number 5 on the grid jumped the start. Really obviously jumped it. That is Tinka Perkamäki. Lots of new names in this one. Jonni Törpäinen, Elias Kalliokoski, Maiju Niemi we've had before, Aleksi Suono and Tinka Perkamäki. Good to see some locals racing, Hal.
I wonder how correct the pronunciations of their names were.
Incorrect, I would suggest. Right, final race of Crosscar Junior Q1. Green light, good start on the inside for Törpäinen, but then loses out to Kalliokoski. Kalliokoski in the blue buggy on the inside line, all the way on the outside. Tinka Perkamäki trying to go around the outside contact between, gets pushed a little bit wide, got to do 2 jokers as well, remember. Oh, and is that one of the jokers last minute from the outside?
Yeah, looked that way, didn't it? It's an interesting joker split here. Something come off the lead car there, I'm not sure. Something got kicked up, at least. Yeah, interesting joker split in the first corner. Don't often see it on the inside of turn 1, do you? There's only a couple of tracks in Europe that have that sort of layout. Strängnäs in Sweden is the famous one, just on the outskirts of Stockholm. We've seen some action there. Our familiar name in the paddock, Eric Fahren, has done his bit of contact in the first corner in Strängnäs when he was racing in Supercar, because it's very easy for a car to get over-rotated in front of you, and especially if they're turning to take the joker lap and you're not, you know, you're carrying so much more mid-corner speed. So it would be interesting to see how that plays out through the course of the weekend, especially when the cars of similar pace are racing each other. Big send in the background. I think that's Niemi, isn't it? She returned to RallyX Nordic in Julius after a few years away, refound her Rallycross mojo and has come back and is in full send mode. You'll be pleased with that, mate?
I will, yeah. Actually, we've got medals for that this weekend. We'll show you those later. I'll dig them out of my bag, actually, now. Do you remember the Lick the Stamp and Send It medal? If you don't remember it, you must be a new viewer. We'll explain to you fully in due course. Very sideways, some of these juniors. Not sure that's going to be the quickest way. Certainly not going to be quite so kind on the tyres, although, of course, it's fair to say that the cross cars are nowhere near as hard on their tyres as the heavier vehicles are. No,
definitely. I think this is a circuit where being patient on the throttle just massively pays off, especially in these really long tarmac corners. Not so much in the first corner here, because you need to get a bit of rotation done to get the car pointing in the direction you want it to. But the left, or the long right that comes up next after the Joker merge here, then the extremely long left in the middle. Look at this. This is the right-hander. It's quite tight, tighter than the right-hander that comes a little later.
Oh, almost a spin there.
But this long corner, you just need to be so patient getting back in the throttle, because you can't afford to either push the nose out too far here or get the rotation done. And a good example there of getting too sideways, and then you not only scrub the speed, but you're scrubbing the tyres badly as well.
It was interesting watching the drivers this morning, because this is a new circuit for so many of them. To see the approach in pre-practice was completely different from somewhere like Neesham or Hollies, which they know. So yeah, the first lap, I wouldn't say they were going around tiptoeing, but they're certainly not. Well, it was one of two ways. It was either full send and you'd see them run wide in a couple of corners and learn, or they'd take the first lap steady and have a look and figure out where it went. Lots and lots of people ran wide in the long right-hander that you were sitting up at the far end of the course, just dropping a wheel off on the gravel. There's a number of places too where track limits, you don't really need to worry about trying to designate track limits, because dropping a wheel off is just dropping from super grippy tarmac onto super loose gravel. There's no point, you're not going to gain an advantage. Particularly my favourite, this is the corner that I was talking about. So this long right before they head onto the final gravel straight. Lots of people ran wide, and it was just wait on the throttle. Only one lap normally they made the mistake for, and that's of course where they're doing a good job of learning the skills. 3:31.238. Kaliakowski taking the win. Kaliakowski, Suonut, Painen, Niemi and Perkämäki. So I'm trying to see what the spread of times is like. Quick is 3:27.794. 3:31 in the first race and the last race. I mean, so the winners are only less than 4 seconds apart in that category. Crosscar Junior. There's the flags of some of the nations taking part. The now familiar Jamaican flags up there. We need to see the old Union Jack there, don't we? When was the last British competitor in Nordic? Another fact for you there, Hal.
Oh, Katie Munnings last time.
Yes, correct. Well, it's 1-1. So that's coming into or out of the Joker? They're just putting up the marker.
That's at the merge, isn't it? So yeah. That's the Joker exit there, where the bicycle is, and that's the main lap on the left-hand side.
Bicycle on the inside line. Contact over the bars. So don't forget, you can like and subscribe on YouTube, and you should do that immediately. There it is. Ding, ding. Is that the noise the bell makes? Doesn't do anything, does it, on YouTube? I think you just click like and subscribe. Do it, though. And then you won't ever miss any rallycross. You'll be watching it right through into the evening tonight, you lucky people. Right, open two-wheel drive. We've got some interlopers in this.
Rustle of paper while we find the grids.
Yes. Lars England, Matthias Janssen, you'll be aware of, Simon Tiger. On the outside, Marcus Norman. Yeah, Marcus did actually come to Neeson, but not to Hollius on the outside. Listen to that noise. The rotary noise can't be beaten, and it can't be beaten into turn one either. Simon Tiger with great traction gets there straight away. Marcus Norman with. It's England, I think, who's gone to the Joker lap. Well, Tiger out front already. So let's have a look at Tiger's record this year. 1, 2, 3. 3 TQs, was qualified second at Hollius round 4. 4 wins, Semi-finals. No, we haven't had semi-finals at Hollius. So Hollius, he didn't have to go through the semis. Won both his semis in Neeson. Basically, Neeson was an incredible weekend, a proper full-on, almost clean sweep. Lost one qualifying session to Matthias Janssen. The white colours in third. Listen to that noise, though, again. Love it.
Yeah, Marcus Norman had all sorts of problems, didn't he, from memory on the first day in Neeson, the first one in the championship. The car that we see in the Joker lap now.
If he's trying to cover off England behind, or just has figured that there's no point sitting in that battle and give yourself a bit of clear track space, doing a good job of sending that, isn't he? That is like a full-on drift weapon.
And that's a rotary as well, as well as Simon Tiger, I almost called him Frederick. That's his dad who used to race a supercar in Rallycross. But yeah, Norman raced in Neeson. Kevin Eriksson of OMSE fame wrapped the car for him in OMSE's workshops in Sweden before the season. One of Kevin's major roles is dealing with the wrapping, and wanted to fire up the rotary car inside the workshop. Marcus said, I think we better push it outside first. Kevin was a bit disappointed. They pushed it outside, he fired it up, and then he realised why that had to be done outside, because it's so incredibly loud.
It's way louder than Simon Tiger, isn't it? Where the commentary box is parked kind of just behind that control tower you can see in the background. I would just like to point out as well how wonderfully suitable this track is, as you see Norman get the better of Matthias Janssen. Look how good this track is for rear-wheel drive, like open two-wheel drive. We should be giving out, I'll tell you what, the full send medal might be hard to give out in open two-wheel drive, because there is a lot of senders going on immediately. It's lock stops to lock stops.
You could transition.
I don't really know. I've got a number of medals with me. I mean, the nice thing about this is that Keith Colton very kindly made the medals and had them posted over to me from Ireland, and they're mega. Thank you, Keith, by the way. That was on Twitter. He got in touch and had, I think, a quiet afternoon when watching Hollius. I said, oh, yes, please, that'd be great. So he sent some in. So we've got Anna Mount Howe, but because they're our medals, it's absolutely nothing to do with the championship. We can do whatever we want. What do you think? It's great, isn't it? We can award them to ourselves if we want.
We'll see what your performance is like when we drive back to the hotel later, mate. I'll let you know.
Yeah. Front-wheel drive Skoda. I don't know that it's going to be that sendy on the straight 31-kilometre road. It'd be some performance if I managed to win one of those medals this weekend. But Simon Tiger, I tell you what, Tiger hasn't pulled away, which is promising, because let's be honest, he's had it all his own way. His mum got in touch with me in between the events, and she's been watching as well. So hello to Simon's mum. Everybody wants to drive the car, from me and Hal through to Andreas Backwood and Liam Doran. Simon has a list as long as your arm of people who want to drive the car, and his mum actually very kindly suggested we could this time, but me and Hal are in and out of Finland pretty quickly this weekend, as always. Lars England, little way off the back of the pack. I wonder if Lars might have had a problem there, because that's further back than we'd expect, but there we go. Simon Tiger takes it. 3:20.4. So they're going, to be fair, I mean, that's 6.5 seconds quicker than the juniors. I think that gives you a good idea of how quick the juniors are. But of course, it's different, isn't it? The juniors, it's a smaller car, less weight, a lot more momentum, much less power. Right. Antivara, Rami Kautio and Tuomas Venäläinen in this one. Venäläinen, I went across to their pit area earlier and they gave me a poster, Hal.
I'm jealous.
Do you want it? I'll show you the poster in a minute. I'm sure we can show them. Oh, there you go. What do you think about that?
That's very cool, isn't it?
I know you can't see that at home. It's terrible. It's like terrible radio, isn't it, when people show stuff? We'll show you in a minute. Well, I was going to say he's got the best start ever, but unfortunately, I think my friend Thomas Venäläinen may have jumped the start. Another rotary engine, Hal.
Yeah, sorry for shutting you up.
But no, it's fine.
A rotary idling sounds
awesome.
Almost like a supercar, doesn't it? Like with that really aggressive. But racing cars have to have an idle. It can't be smooth.
Oh, you don't want a clean idle.
The Works Peugeots in the World Championship were so disappointing because
yeah, that's no good.
There needs to be quite a lot of intonation in the idle mode.
The throttle hunts. That's what it does. It goes,
but not like a Group A Mitsubishi.
No, but I do quite like that too. I quite like, when you switch the anti-lag on and just that sort of, slightly jacked open throttle noise. Then you know it's a race car, don't you? It's the sort of thing that would annoy your neighbours terribly all the while. Sorry to my neighbours when I've owned rally cars. I wasn't really one for sitting in them and revving them for no reason, to be honest.
No, it's pointless, isn't it?
Yeah, really. Just sometimes, I did used to go for a drive in the rally car sometimes, because obviously rally cars are road legal, so that was always good fun.
It's partially why I'm converting one of my rallycross cars to rally
So
car.
you can go for a drive,
yeah.
Sequential? Yeah, awesome.
Clunk.
Yeah, at the lights, or every zebra crossing. Zebra crossing, a very UK thing. Google it. It's not an actual zebra crossing. It's just the name of the crossing. Right, ready to race this time. No more mistakes. Come on, two mass on the outside. This time with a tardy start, being a bit careful. Rami Cautio with the best start in the middle, going to try and shut the door on Antivara on the inside. I'll tell you what, Hal, first impressions are that these guys are not messing about. I think hopefully we might have a bit of a battle on our hands for Simon.
Hopefully so, yeah. I think this class has got so much potential. There's so many cars in existence around Europe, around Northern Europe. I know there's interest from the UK and Ireland for people to come and have a go as well, and I think it's a great addition to the championship, isn't it? And the fact that we've got some Finnish locals here with track knowledge, with good cars, because there's such a brilliant rallycross scene in Finland anyway. I think, yeah, could be really close when they're racing directly against Simon Tiger later on.
I think the issue we've got at the minute is people crossing borders. It's hard enough for us to get here. I mean, it took us four forms, 2 COVID tests just to get into Finland, which is fair enough. They're doing pretty. He's run a little bit wide there, bit of terminal understeer on the run into the last corner for Cautio. Joker now for Antivara. We've got Thomas Heikkinen joining us during Q2, so we can get him to correct all our pronunciations of the Finnish names. Hal, that's what Jussi Pinaraki kindly did for us last time, wasn't it?
Hopefully he's more reliable than what he suggested that we should try drink. I sent Toppy a message asking for his suggestions of local drinks to try, and I think he was trying to throw me under the bus, so we avoided anything that he suggested.
Yes,
hopefully he's better on Finnish names.
It's always a good idea to avoid anything that Toppy suggests, to be honest. Unless he's your spotter, which he's doing this weekend. He's helping out Juha Rutkanen. Haven't got a lap time comparison, unfortunately, to the previous run, so we can't give you any updates. I'm looking at that rear wing, Hal, and I'm thinking Evo 6.
Yeah, I think you could be right.
It's the
just wanted to see the side profile.
Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
I might go and ask him later. I'll be very pleased if I'm right. I'd love an Evo 6, wouldn't you? Tommy Mackin edition, one without any of the safety gear on it. No?
Not really into road cars.
Really?
Yeah, a high torque diesel estate would do me absolutely fine.
There, ladies and gentlemen, is the difference between Andrew Coley and Hal Rich. Maybe it's Hal that's Captain Sensible. He's got a collection of rally and rallycross cars which are unfinished, which is to be marvelled at. And that wonderful diesel estate that he's going to tow them with will be brilliant when there's anything complete to tow. But at the minute, it's just a wonderful diesel estate. I must be honest, I don't have an Evo 6. I've got a van, so yeah, I'm no more excited than Hal in reality. But I'm aiming higher.
You were tempted by a Toyota. Oh, is that? Oh, that's just on overrun, isn't it? Brilliant.
Yes,
from the Datsun Finn, producing flames on overrun. Yeah,
I'm tempted by a Yaris GR4. I'm really tempted by that. I used to have a Peugeot 106 Rally, which was a homologation special for Peugeot when they were running the 106 as a rally car. It was 100 kilos lighter than the 106 GTI, which is ridiculous when you think how small the Peugeot 106 is. Not something you'd have wanted to crash, but my God, it could outbrake anything on the run to a roundabout. And it did. It was a brilliant car. Counting going to take this, not quite close enough. And I tell you, look at the flames on overrun again. So absolutely brilliant. Tuomas Venäläinen has got the most epic overrun on that car. Rami Cautio, 3:24.4.
Tuomas set the fastest lap time in there by a couple of tenths. Obviously took the 2 jokers for the jump start, but there'll be more pace. Well, there is the pace there, but there'll be a better race time when he hasn't got to do 2 jokers, and obviously made a quite conservative start to get away from not being from having jumped the start the first time.
On to Crosscar, Räikkönen, Ryerson, Aaron and Larpety and Baldins in the first race. We're missing a car from the middle of the grid though. Is that Jarkko Aaronen that's missing? I think it is. So that's a bit of a disastrous start for Aaronen. Ryerson was in spectacular form earlier on. All on the revs they want already. Ready to race comes on. You just hear the revs creep slightly. Epic start from Baldins, Räikkönen and Ryerson. Ryerson gets around the outside of Räikkönen and Baldins trying to shut the door from the outside, comes in super hot, runs a little bit deeper. I think maybe they wanted to go. Two cars rotate round and go straight into the Joker lap. I think it's Räikkönen and Ryerson that have gone Joker. And it's Baldins and Larpety who've gone standard lap.
Very late decision from Ryerson to go then. I think too late, really. I think he's cost himself time there and track position because he left the door open on the inside of the Joker. Maybe in hindsight, and it's so easy for me to stay standing here, but you should have continued on the standard lap to not run so wide. Obviously, the tactics in not wanting to get held up out front when you're trying to undercut the leader is all part of the game, isn't it? But Baldins had good pace. He's not like he's slow. He had good pace, especially in Julius. He was the faster of the two Latvian drivers. He had the margin on Rainis Nitish through much of the weekend. Obviously, different cars they're running.
Got P2 on round 3. Absolutely brilliant.
So what I mean, you're not going to get held up really in the same way that you would if it was someone with
so you could have followed
less experience.
Yeah, rather than losing time, because bearing in mind that the depth, even with a small entry like this, the depth in quality is still there. You know the problem in cross cars, you lose a tenth or two, and you're going to lose a ton of places. They've both managed to edge Larpety. Larpety jokered on the last one and came out behind them, so now it's a question of whether or not Baldins can carry on. We've got absolutely no idea, have we, on Joker Delta at the moment?
Zero clues. Yeah, no idea at all. And it also hasn't helped that we haven't seen it and timed it ourselves either. But
so for me, this is my first track that I've been to with a Joker on turn 1 on the inside. So Lydden Hill and Hell are the two that most people would be the most familiar with as having a Joker on the outside of turn 1. But to have a Joker on the inside of turn 1 is very different, and it does. You've got that pace differential on the way. Look at that camera, the flip-flop on the wall's absolutely mega. Ryerson trying to find a way past, gets alongside Räikkönen and up the inside, dives on the brakes 3 times, nothing Räikkönen could do. Ryerson set that up from the gravel section.
What a move, very forceful, but I think absolutely nothing wrong with it. There was the track width there to do it, wasn't there? The door had been left open. It hadn't really been left open because he was on the racing line, but Ryerson took a dive to the inside, got it done. Look at the front of the buggy, just pitch up and down as he's touching the brakes.
Lighting up the tyres as well. Ryerson is one of my favourite drivers to watch. Him and Osterberg, I think, were probably my 2 favourites last time at Hollius.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because he's full send, but not in a full send way that you would enjoy, because he's so, it's almost like he's sideways, but in such a controlled manner. It's not like someone being sideways and being over the limit of being sideways. He's just so on top of this car. It's such a revelation over last year when he wasn't particularly at one with the car he was using, and now he's clearly right on top of it.
Yeah, Baldins has gone Joker on that last lap and come out way in front of them. So Ryerson, again, look at this. He's got it on angle before it's in, and then just holds it all the way through. And Hal, everything that everybody tells us these days is, it doesn't work, it's not fast enough. And yet he makes it work, and so does Osterberg. Didn't see much of Baldins on this one, but this looks like a good, clean run. You can see from the gap back to Ryerson how fast he was. Baldins 2:19.0. 2:19.0. We're going to take a look back at Ryerson's pass in a moment. Here you go. We've got 2 pictures there. So there it is. See him up the inside. Yeah, side by side. Do you know what? I don't think Räikkönen knew was there.
No, turned in a little bit, didn't he? And the big clash of wheels, and suddenly turned away. I was like, oh, what was that?
Yeah. And now Räikkönen has another look back up the inside, but that's just Ryerson's classic back it in from wide out.
But it's so tight in that long left-hander on the entry. You know, it's your apex so late that it's very, very difficult to get up the inside into that corner. I think. But I'm sure we'll see people try it over the course of the weekend.
So apologies if you can hear our talk back on there. We're not quite sure. We're just running through some technical checks in the background. So I'm just checking that our director can hear us, as he's often giving us a few tips on where we're headed next with replays and so on. Good move by Ryerson. Good to see you can pass here.
Yeah.
You know, that's not necessarily indicative of the car classes, because we know Crosscar has that bit more space. But I don't know, I fancy people taking a few chances on a long gravel braking zone is always good for having a look, because you can just get a bit brave. It doesn't really matter if you run deep, just run the other guy deep. You might both lose time, but it would suggest it might work out. Eganson, Nitish, Osterberg, Anderson. Osterberg with a brilliant start from the third slot, but inside him, Rainis Nitish, that work he's been doing on the engine has just got him up alongside. Not going to make it this time. Nitish goes Joker. I think Osterberg leads on the outside. Two very similar looking buggies, one round wide. But yeah, Nitish did well there. When he lost out on the braking zone, he called him off the start, but then lost out on the braking zone, said, fine, I'm going Joker. Unless, of course, he always planned to go Joker by brakering early.
The latter, I think. I think he'd already decided to go Joker. Checked up early, nice and tight on the inside. Didn't get over sideways, didn't lose momentum. I think that would have been a plan from the outset. He was... Where was he on the grid? He was second on the grid. Who's that?
Stopped on track, rear shot, difficult for us to see.
I think it's Eganson.
This is Osterberg then. So Osterberg looking to take away the current top qualifier spot of Bowdens, and there you can see Osterberg's style and what we mean about it being very similar to Rierson.
Yeah, just so on top of theirs. Rayners running wide in the background, just dropped the wheel off into the dirty exit of the final corner and kicked up some dust. But yeah, they both use the same cars, don't they? The speed car that Osterberg, and Rierson both use the speed car. They're both set up in quite a similar way, and they get that transition so beautifully done, don't they? Where the car hops from corner to corner.
Just looks like a hell of a lot of fun to drive to me. It really does. And I love the fact that the lap times are there too, because you can drive any car fun style, but it's not always quick. But to see the car being driven fun style and get the lap times is awesome.
It is awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's just listen to it. Listen, I was stood to the white tents in the background. I was just this side of them, looking at the rear of that last corner and watching Rierson come in. He was absolutely sideways, facing the Armco on the inside and running the mud flap along the barrier onto the start-finish straight. It was just great. And then when they do run a little bit wide, they drop a wheel off. This section here, look where Rainis is braking, they're rotating the car on the brakes before they hit the tarmac, and that's actually really committed through there. Not much of a braking zone. It's more of a settle the car and chuck it in.
Bit of youthful fearlessness as well, isn't there? And I think Rayners has had a few shunts in his time. I'm not suggesting that he's going any slower for it, but there's probably a bit of knowledge in that bank of what can happen in his brain. Whereas you see Rierson and co throw these cars around, especially Osterberg as well here leading. I get the impression they've never had a massive one.
yeah. The fear hasn't kicked in, has it? Look at that, absolutely beautiful. Into the Joker lap goes Osterberg. Going to try and hold on to that position at the merge. Let's see how close it's going to be. Closer than I thought. Nitish was actually done really well there. So Rainis Nitish, look, has done exceptionally well to be on the back of Osterberg. Nitish looking good, been developing the car all through the season. They took it straight back from Neeson because he didn't feel they had enough power. It was on the rolling road the day they got home, which was a couple of days late thanks to COVID and various delays with bits of paperwork. They got back, got the job done. Look at the difference in style there. So Nitish on the inside line, very little inputs, and then on the exit, pushes the car on the gas. You wonder, don't you, good job by Osterberg, didn't see the time, 3:09.5, there we go, so not quite as quick. Sorry, was it? I've got an incorrect time.
3:09.5, that was the time to beat, I think, above was the 3:07.
Yeah, I've got an incorrect time written down, that's my bad. Osterberg 3:09.576. Nitish 1.2 seconds back. That was good, it's promising. Rainis, he came here to make that car go quickly among the best cross cars in the world, and he is.
Good track for it as well, I think. Not having lots of slow speed corners where you need to get the traction and the drive out means that you carry momentum all around this place.
Holberg, Hukka, Kalliomäki and Penttinen in this one. Oh, closing the door from the outside. Penttinen moves across on Kalliomäki. Contact between them down into turn one now. Holberg on the inside line. Everybody going a little bit deep on turn one. It doesn't look like the optimum pace through there, but you've just got to get it done. Is that Hukka up the inside? It is. Rico Hukka runs wide. Holberg gets back up the inside, drops the buggy off onto the gravel outside. Yes to this kind of racing.
Holberg was one of the stars of last year, just didn't quite get it all together. Hukar's run wide yet again and opened the door. I think Hukar's definitely one of your candidates for the full send award, has been all season.
Yes, absolutely. It was first came to light, didn't it, in Denmark, along with Kasper Janssen. They're the two who we've had our eyes on. Maybe we'll give them full send medals for early in the year. Hukar going to look up the inside at the end of the straight, not quite close enough. Could compromise the exit speed. If you're not going to do it, probably worth just sitting in behind. Easy for us to say that when you're desperate to find a way past.
Meanwhile, this is all playing into Kaliamaki's hands, isn't it? He made a great start and then jokered on the first lap when he got the squeeze as the pack moved to the inside. But all this fighting up front, as long as he doesn't catch it and get caught up in it, you can just see Kaliamaki in the background there, running under the set promotion banner. He's going to be hoping that these two continue to hold each other up and use that to leapfrog them.
Holberg, look at that. Just flicks it in. You know you've got a car underneath you and you've got the confidence to move it around like that. Brilliant display of driving skill. Backed it in big time. It's lovely when a car feels like that, when you've just got it by the scruff of the neck, and he absolutely has. So Halberg is trying really hard here to hold off Kaliamaki. Halberg goes joker. Kaliamaki coming on the standard lap now. Watch on the outside line. Kaliamaki in the orange buggy on the inside line. Holberg, and he's going to shut the door just. So they had to go from the lead, I think, because Kaliamaki potentially was closing them down. Good shout from the spotters.
Yeah, great tactics. And obviously got an eye on the lap time and could see the gap closing, so covered off Kaliamaki in fine style there. I think Kaliamaki can be a dark horse this weekend as a newcomer to the class in RallyX Nordic for this year, but has so much experience, has driven here several times before as well. So I think when it comes to the sharp end of the weekend, he's going to be right up there. Meanwhile, though, Penttinen still needs to take the joker, and I think he's probably going to pop out behind Kaliamaki as things stand.
Penttinen goes in. Going to be a little way off, isn't it? Oh, closer than I thought. We're still learning the joker with you guys at home. It's not so long, is it? I think it's just such a slow entry speed to it that you kind of feel like they've lost a ton of time on the way in.
That camera angle's a little bit deceptive from the rear as well. It makes it look like a really tight 90, doesn't it? Where it's not actually that tight in reality, although it is very loose.
There's Halberg's absolutely got that car underneath him. Through there, you could just see left foot on the brake. You saw the nose dip twice. You see the extra rotation that puts in the car. Halberg coming round, might take the fastest time of the session, get to that line quickly. 3:08.4, 5 tenths back. Well, 3 race winners within 3 seconds of each other. It's a smaller entry here, a lot, Hal, because say we've had 20 plus cars here before, but that is looking incredibly competitive, isn't it?
Just like juniors as well. It was only 3 or 4 seconds between the race winners in that as well. I think a circuit like this plays to the lap times being close and the race times being close, doesn't it? Because the momentum carries through the lap, and it makes it the differences aren't so big, the margins are smaller.
Supercar Lights, biggest entry this weekend, I think. Supercar Lights, 16 cars in this category. Niklas Anetlev, Martin Jonsson, Simon Ouluzone and Tommy Hallman. Hallman looked superb in Supercar Lights practice earlier on today. Not going to get to the inside line this time though. Ouluzone's going to be there. What's Hallman going to do? Brake a bit early, and you can't think from there. You can't go joker, and Hallman gets mugged really. Dumped off into the gravel, taps the bank on the outside line. Was it Jonsson that went joker? Martin Jonsson went joker. So Ouluzone this morning had a run wide. It was in turn. It's actually pretty similar to what Halberg just did in the background. Halberg, they see, is on the back of the train. Halberg is the one we've just had. Hallman is in now. And Tommy Hallman has been spectacular this season, Hal, on the podium in every single race.
Yeah, he's been a real revelation, hasn't he? His first ever season in Supercar Lights, had a torrid time trying to get to the first rounds in Nissan from here in Finland. And he lost out badly there at the start, didn't he? He started on the outside. Ouluzone's all over the back of Aneklev as they go into the first corner on lap 2. Aneklev with a massive send. Ouluzone's going to get out of that traffic and take to the joker. Holman left with no option but to stay on the standard lap.
Watch for Jonsson then in the background versus Ouluzone. Ouluzone coming out from the Joker now. Jonsson on the outside line, might cut to inside. That would be tricky, wouldn't it, to get across there in time. So Ouluzone manages to hold the position from Jonsson. That's actually pretty well spotted. Where was Ouluzone between these two?
He was right up behind Annaclev. Now, Holman's spotter needs, I think Alexei Koskinen is spotting for his teammate for this weekend, Jon Arne-Kallen, and not sure who's spotting for Tommy, maybe even Jussi Pinamaki, but they need to do the Joker option. Joker option needs to be the call. Do different to Annaclev because he's badly losing time. He's going to try up the inside, is he?
I think he's going to go Joker anyway. Surely going to anchor this up, take the speed off. He does, rotates the car, rounds a little bit deep, possibly came in there a little bit hungry. Flicks the car round to the left, lovely bit of left foot brake again, but if you watch, Ouluzone's going to get him. Is he going to slot in front of Jonsson? Jonsson trying to carry the speed round the outside, has to adjust the line. Hellman will hold that inside line.
Yet again, I think Hellman's got the pace, hasn't he? He's looked fast through this, but I think realistically he would have been ahead of Ouluzone had he not been held up. I was surprised he moved to the inside. He was lucky Annaclev didn't turn in on him in the first corner, and of course going for the Joker was the only option.
Ouluzone looked really good this morning in practice, bar that one run wide. Just was really patient. He was one of the few drivers who on his outlap didn't run wide in the long hairpin that you were sitting up at. He was just really patient all the way through. The car looks like it's very pointy, but not in a way where you're trying to hang on to it. Simon Ouluzone coming around the outside now. That first corner, I can't quite get my head around the line. I have to take a wander up there later on and have a look and see it, you know, in real life. It looks like they're all taking a somewhat compromised line.
Whoa, Jonsson did a great job there to hang around the outside of Annaclev at the Joker merge and then get back in again, because the guy on the Joker merge coming from the Joker lap can just run deep. As long as they're side by side, you can just run deep on the inside and force the hand on the guy outside of you. Meanwhile, Ouluzone, they've had their time a little bit compromised, but not drastically. No,
Ouluzone went early. Lap 2, was it, I think, to cover off? Yeah, it was. Going to take the flag with a 3:13. Was it 3:14.3? Oh, we were talking about Latvians earlier on. Message from very popular Latvian, Viestas Kunzins. Hello, mate. His plan for the day is to watch RallyX Nordic, F1 qualifying, Nürburgring 24 hours and the WRC. At some point, all of them will be live. He's got a monitor with 4 different screens on it at the same time. I hope you've got the audio on for us, Viestas, and I'll be checking, because if you don't reply to this comment immediately via WhatsApp, I won't ever mention you on air. No, I'm joking.
Maybe we should make some challenges through the day and see if you can pick them up.
Who got the fastest lap in Q1 race 2.
The things we've said.
Yeah, so he has to watch us all day. Yeah. We're just going to force you to watch RallyX Nordic, Viestas, all day long.
Why wouldn't you? Formula 1, boring.
What's Formula 1? I've never heard of it. Not enough gravel. Not that they drive on. Who's up the crane? No. I can't quite hear Robert, unfortunately, so he did tell me the name. Mr. Hill. Apparently. Doesn't sound very Finnish. We get a slew of messages now about how it's an extraordinarily popular Finnish name. Martin Enlund, Mats Oskarsson, Linus Ostlund and Kasper Jansson up next. Jansson has really impressed us this season by improving all the while. Ostlund is currently sitting P3 in the standings. Enlund is 6th. Oskarsson down in 8th. Great start on the inside from Martin Enlund. Linus Ostlund, they're going to try and put the squeeze on. Where's Kasper Jansson going to go in the green and black? If I were him, I might anchor up and go Joker. And he does. Nicely done. Does well as well not to get collected from behind. So this morning I was watching Jansson again and how for another new circuit. He's a karter though, and I wonder if this very tarmac corner focused track might really suit him.
Yeah, it is a very karting, it's a circuit racing style circuit. It's quite a karting-esque track, isn't it, with the long corners, especially with the late apex. Martin Enlund under big pressure here from Linus Ostlund, who I thought was going to be, well, I thought he was the title favourite coming into this season. He just hasn't had the run of form I maybe would have expected him to have. He was much quicker in Hurlius last time out, his home circuit. Big send from Martin Enlund, he's run wide, and Ouluzone there. Ostlund, sorry, he's going to look to the inside, he's going to go Joker now, surely.
Contact between them, could have compromised both of them. Well, that's massively played into the hands of Kasper Jansson in my book. All 3 of those drivers had a compromised lap there, definitely. Jansson going to lose out. Is he just going to hold on? side by side, almost comes in front. So yeah, Hal, that argy-bargy they've had, for me, that's cost Austin the lead of the race. In terms of jokers, I mean, you know, if you take Casper Janssen,
lead,
exactly, as your lead bit with having jokered.
Of course, Janssen being run by the Enland's team, the same squad that's running Martin Enland, the leader, so they won't want to come to blows at the Joker merge any more than they would do with anyone else. But you know, of course, you don't want to hamper your teammate.
I think leave him out. I think if they had the pace before, and they've both done that, so they know Janssen is there. Casper Janssen goes a little bit deep. Whew, hanging on to that. Wall comes up fast when you've got a little bit of opposite lock on, and it's still approaching. Kind of in the hands of momentum and physics at that point. When it comes back, it's like, whew, nice one.
Yeah, I meant it.
Yeah, that's what I planned for that, yeah. So Janssen, it's closing down for me. Janssen's catching up to Gustafson. It's whether or not Enland is going to check out enough on the front to hold on to his positions. Here we go, Martin Enland and Gustafson going to have to joker on this one. Mats from P2. Pretty confident Mats is going to lose those places to Janssen and Osland. It's whether or not Janssen is going to take the lead away or not from Enland. Enland coming around the standard lap, and Janssen is going to take the lead. And look at Osland, the car all rotated up again. I reckon you could maybe get enough rotation on the car to look up the inside into that next tarmac right-hander. It's going to be fascinating to see Supercar, what they look like around this circuit. It really, everybody said to us, this place is fast.
And that merge then has given us a reasonable idea of the Lights Joker Delta. So that was a 3.3 margin that the gap that they had to third place, and it's obviously not enough to hold on.
So we think it could be as much as what, 3.5, maybe even 4?
Maybe even more, yeah.
Get that figured out. TV truck just got peppered by gravel, so we literally could just hear gravel hitting the side of the truck. Casper Janssen 314.4. That is so close. So Ouluzone was a 314.3. So 314.4, just a tenth of a second in it between Ouluzone, the winner of race 1, and Janssen, the winner of race 2. Second to last race of Lights. Anderson, Foss, Ollikainen, and Janssen. Jonna Ollikainen from Set, another one of the esports drivers who we're familiar with from Rallycross Academy as well, RX Academy. UC Pinamäki's, what should we say, school?
Academy?
Sarcasm mode on for Hal Ridge. Great championship that we had the pleasure of commentating. One make series at a high level, which I think we could do with again in Rallycross personally. Okay, we've got this. This is a one-make championship, obviously Lights, but it's still relatively expensive. And RX Academy was front-wheel drive cars. Look how close they are on the braking zone at the end of the straight. Anderson leading Ollikainen.
Quite a lot of contact between Anderson and Foss into turn 1 on the inside. Ollikainen's popped in between the pair of them now. Ollikainen was fastest in the first free practice session in his first ever time in a Supercar Lights, which is pretty impressive, although he has driven here before, much like teammate Tommy Holman in running under the set banner this weekend.
So Niels Anderson's line through there was interesting, Hal. At first I wondered if he'd struggled to hook it up. Actually waited until a very, very late apex. Still not quite convinced, but maybe likes the car to feel that way. Anderson, of course, is our form man, really, having a P2 and a P1 in Hollius. And that was after being in the semis and not making the final in Nissan. You know, a win and a P2 is about as good as it gets.
He was really focused this morning. I went down to the KMS team. We had a little chat with Johan, didn't we? But Niels was really involved in the laptop, looking at the V-Box after his first run in practice.
As was Johan, weren't they? Both.
Yeah, Johan only had one lap to look at though after the first session, so there wasn't a lot to do. But Niels is learning so much by being with Johan, isn't he, in that environment, and learning what you need to look out for, where you find the time. I think it's been such a valuable move for him. I'm not saying what he was doing before was wrong or bad, but just being with a triple world champion is just helping him massively, and you can see that in his performances. He's got the skills, he's got the talent, it's just rounding off all those little bits. Foss goes into the joke lap now.
Here he goes. Anderson round the outside. just in the wall on the loose. Janssen, is it in the background? I think it is. Yeah, no. Yes, it is. Mattis Janssen. Foss comes out on the back of that pack. So Jonna Ollikainen is in P2. What was the gap on that last lap between Jonna and Nils? 5.7. So in theory, Nils has got plenty of time here. And yes, Jonna has managed to put in a couple of bangers. Nils will go this time. Tidy.
6 seconds the gap, so I think it should be comfortable. Run a little bit wide through the middle of the Joker corner. It's going to be closer than we thought, isn't it? But yeah,
much closer than we thought. So I reckon without the tiny bit wide on the turn in on tar, a fair bit wide on the loose. So 5.7, that was 5.7, was it?
6 that was on the way in. So right. I reckon it's about 5.5.
It's longer than you think, isn't it? Much longer. See, it's interesting. I've never really been a fan of the first corner Joker, and I know some people will hate that. I don't like the way it splits the pack up immediately. Funnily enough, a second corner Joker, like at Holliers, no problem at all. Because one corner goes one way, one goes the other, and therefore you have to react to what happens in the start. Anderson takes it with a 3:13.7 and goes quickest so far. So Nils Anderson gone quickest so far, 3:13.7. Good effort. But I quite like the Joker on the inside here because you're not really going to plan to go to it immediately because of the fact you've got to overbrake to get there. So, I mean, you can plan, but you're not going to plan ahead to do that because nobody wants necessarily to go there immediately. If you get the whole shot on the standard lap. So it just brings in a slightly different way of reacting to what happens in turn one. Whereas, if the Joker's around the outside, it's kind of like if you're on the outside, take it, particularly in in Hell. It can end up with a better overall time. The pole sitter can really dictate it here as well, much like Hell, where like Andreas Backward did on Petter Solberg a few years ago, where forced him, but you can force everyone wide as well. Yeah. And then if that happens, yeah, okay. I think if you're on the outside of the grid, even if you've got a great start, if you've got 3 cars inside you might as well duck out the brakes and chuck it in the Joker. But if somebody else does that as well, so I don't know, I don't mind it. Sokvist with the best start here. Lane Vakela in the black and red coloured car, back after missing the 2 rounds in Holliers. Nobody goes Joker on lap 1, so that's interesting. I might have gone if I was Vakela, but then the speed difference again, Hal, is such that if you've committed to the standard lap, it's pretty hard to change your mind about it. Yeah, and being third on the grid like Lane was, it's difficult to preempt going in, isn't it, unless you check up early, but then you risk being stuck behind 2 cars as well. Like you say, Andrew, it's really difficult to plan for that scenario. There's a few former karters in this race, and like we were saying earlier, this will play to their skill set. Hookfist leading is one of those drivers from running under OMC this season and coming from a karting background. He's been impressive, I think. Been impressive in the various different loose sections in Neeson and in Julius. That is Ida Tornhold that's got into the Joker. She's from a more of a loose surface background, especially over the winter. Did a lot of ice driving, although the ice driving, of course, it's always relevant, but this is far from being a slippery ice circuit. That was Lane Vakela that ran wide. Mistake, unfortunately. Just dropped the car off onto the loose a little bit. Fairly well spread out. I certainly don't think our 2 at the back are going to come close to troubling our front runners. Sokvist led from the start. And committed onto the start-finish line. Sokvist, I reckon, will wait until the final lap. For being a loose section on a straight, that's actually quite bumpy at the end of that section into turn 2, isn't it? And I think as a little bit of turn in for the corner is making a bit of a rut, but also just being on the brakes a little bit as well. It's rotting up more than I would have expected. I watched as many onboards as I could find of this circuit before we came here in all sorts of random different cars, and it didn't look anywhere near as rough as that. But having this quantity of supercars and lights, the 4-wheel drive cars will make a big difference. My mate Jody in America sent me about 4 onboards that he'd found after Johan mentioned on air that he'd found 1 onboard. Remember, and he's like, the guy finished second, he took the Joker on lap 1, he lost 0.2 of a second, and Jody then went on online and found about 4 different ones and sent them to me on WhatsApp, so I had a good look through those as well. But yeah, it's been a lot of the drivers' only reference has been watching somebody else's onboard, but that's what they'll do. If you've not been, of course, Niklas Gronholm has been here before in the Finnish National Rallycross Championship. But he did say it was a number of years ago and that the jump has been taken out from the last straight, the gravel straight down to the final corner. There was a jump, which I'm sure would have been fun, but probably on a straight like that takes away an overtaking opportunity. You kind of need the jump. If you're going to put the jump in, you almost want it to be now. You know, you certainly don't want it here where somebody might take a little look up the inside, and that's the thing about designing rallycross tracks. It's not as easy as you think. And I think Sockquist has just gone quickest. So Sockquist has just gone top of the table. Brilliant. 3:13.6.
Wow.
Yeah.
First ever fastest time.
Yeah. So excuse our surprise, that is an absolutely brilliant drive. Well done, Isak Sockquist. Making a mark on lights here. Oulu in Finland, top of the table in Q1. Give you an idea of how close it was. 3:13.6 for Sockquist, 3:13.7 for Anderson. You've got 3:14.3 for Ouluzone and 3:14.4 for Kasper Janssen. Those are your 4 race winners. Yeah, less than 8/10 of a second between the 4 race winners. On to our final set of cars for Q1 here. Four car races for Supercar. Evjen, Eid, Carlson and McConnell in this one. Here we go. Who's done their homework the best? McConnell didn't look, he's got a great start, but then gets away nicely on the inside line. Evjen and Eid are very even down towards turn 1. Eid goes late on the brakes, bit of contact from Carlson. McConnell round the outside, drops the wheels on the loose, ends up driving back towards the back of the pack. And it's Eid, I think, who leads, is it? And Evjen who's gone joker. Or is it the other way round? The 2 cars are so identical. It is Eid who leads, yes.
I love Supercar. They always provide such brilliant drama, don't they? Even in the first corner there, Fraser ran wide. There were 4 abreast. We haven't seen that sort of start so far this weekend. That gave a great indication as to how difficult it's going to be to pick the joker. Ida, he's a circuit racing expert. He's switched to rallycross. This is a track where he can really excel.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's been very quick in rallycross recently too. Carlson, I'm trying to think, didn't Carlson do pretty well in
he was third
in Hollis in the end?
He was 3rd quickest in the first practice session of the weekend, and then they had terrible engine problems. I think they were one of the teams with the crankshaft on the floor after the first day. That always spells bad news, doesn't it? It's in the joker lap now.
Start. McConnell comes past. McConnell hasn't jokered. Evjen has. Here's the merge between them. Carlson to cover off Evjen. Evjen looks to the inside line, not quite close enough. That's that move we've been talking about, though. It is definitely on. The move at the joker lap merge is definitely on. You've got to be brave and really be decisive about it. Carlson made a tiny mistake in the joker for me on the gravels, a little bit too far on the left-hand side on the turn-in. And if we'd been slightly further over to the right, would have got that rotated a bit quicker and maybe not given Evjen the chance to be all over the back.
I think Evjen, Sondra got out of the throttle as well, didn't he? He deliberately avoided contact. Maybe that would be different come the semi-final and final later on today when they're fighting for track position. Yeah, losing a bit of time now behind Carlson, isn't he? Joker strategy hasn't quite worked out for him here.
So Enzo Eid leads from Fraser McConnell. McConnell got wide a little bit in turn 1. McConnell, I'm sure, would like to get these 2, but I have to say the lap times are looking very good. I'm not sure France is going to have enough of a gap. I think Enzo Eid will, so this could work. Eid was assertive in the start, really assertive.
He's also going about 8/10 a lap quicker than anyone else on track at the moment, so he's feeling in the groove. He's been fast this year, hasn't he? He's just had niggling problems at most rounds.
Only made the final once, yeah, came 5th in round 4 at Hollier, so I suppose you could argue that his season's got better. Didn't make it out the semis, I say, for the first 3 rounds, so it has improved. He goes joker now. McConnell's gone with him on the outside line. Where's Carlson? Enzo Eid is clearly in front. McConnell and Evjen are going to be close. McConnell tries to hold the inside line. France was unlucky, I think, at the start. Considering his start was equal to those inside, this is what we were saying earlier. If you're in slot 4 or 5 on the grid and the start is very equal, there really isn't a lot you can do. And we saw that there. He dropped some wheels on the loose. He's made up some of that time, but he's not able to get himself back towards the front of the pack. So Enzo Eid going to take the first race in Supercar. Dusty out there now. It's a good drive by the Belgian. Comes through the right-hander. Where's he going to stop the Crocs? It is a 3:04.1. .304.1 for Eid. Carlson, 1.1 seconds back. Evjen, what have we got on timing? How saw that come up orange? Who's had a warning?
Carlson's had a 3-second penalty for track limits, so that's going to drop him
into the back
of that pack.
3:08.2 that'll be. So that puts Evjen and McConnell up a place each. A shame for Carlson, but I mean that will be something significant if they've given him 3 seconds. Right, German, Gronholm, Michalak, and Gustafson. Gronholm could get a podium in the championship, but I don't think he'll. It depends if they come to Arvika. I'm not convinced they will. Mind you, we weren't convinced they were going to come here, and they did. Him and Johan texting each other. Are you going? Yes. Are you? Yes. Go on then. But I think at the same time, wasn't Pinamaki texting Tommy Gustafson as well? So the two team bosses and the two drivers texting each other separately. Go, do you want to fight? Yeah, go on, I'll have a fight. Yeah, okay, right, see you up at Oulu.
See you outside.
Yeah, see you outside. Yeah, so they're outside now on the grid. They've both turned up for this one.
And we've lucked in with Johan having the outside grid slot. Sorry, Johan, but it's going to make it interesting, isn't it? Especially with Philip German, who had good pace in Julius on the inside, and we know how fast Nicholas can be also.
Michalak was late out to FP2, so I don't know if they had an issue with that car really late, was rinsing through the paddock to get to the start line just in time. Safely rinsing. But he made it, and they moved the barrier out of the way and got him through. So the pre-grid was actually closed, but that's one of the nice things I think about...
So just before this race starts, very quickly, Enzo Ida's had a 3-second track limits penalty as well. So Evjen is the net winner of the first race.
There we go. So these guys need to watch out for those markers on the inside. Gronholm with a great start from the second stop. Gustafson too, though. They're ahead of the others. Gustafson going to put a squeeze on Gronholm down towards turn 1. Gronholm goes late on the brakes. Gustafson can't really get to the inside line from there. He definitely can't. German goes joker. Michalak has gone behind, but it's Gronholm leading Gustafson. Big bump at the end of the straights now.
That's exactly what we were talking about, isn't it? About the guy who leads on the inside into the first corner being able to dictate what happens. Johan had a really good start, but had nowhere to go. Nicholas could have tried to get the car rotated and gone into the joker, but why would he? Forced Gustafson wide and took track position. Perfect.
Yeah, and he knows Johan can't undercut you in terms of strategy because there's too many cars on the inside line.
And you're already committed at that stage, aren't you? He knows Johan's on the left of him, and they're both going wide, aren't they?
Yeah, he knows he's deep on the brakes. He effectively knows where he's going by his braking point. Johan with a bit more rotation on the car through the turn. Gronholm did more practice laps this morning. I didn't actually see FP2. We were off filming some stuff, so I don't know how many laps Johan did in FP2.
He did 3 laps in the second practice.
Right, and he only did 1 in the first one, didn't he? We saw Fraser McConnell went out and heat cycled a set of tyres. Gronholm said that he'd got a bit overexcited and done 3 instead of 1. Or at least, I think he was supposed to do 3 but not push, but he said he pushed a bit much from lap 2 on, so yeah.
He loves driving around across Supercar, you can't blame him for that, can you?
Mate, I'd be pushing on every lap. I'd miss out on the semi-finals probably due to having used all my tyres in free practice, but I'd have had a great time.
Running on the rims.
Well, the thing is, there's no guarantee I'd make the semis anyway, so I might as well just do the laps in free practice, mightn't I?
I think Johan's picked up a problem. It looked like the front right. Maybe something up a bit. He's very cautious into the front left, sorry, very cautious into the joker. I wonder if there's something bent on the front of the Polo. They've had such poor luck with that car this year, haven't they, with its a few niggling issues.
German's going to get him potentially. Yeah, Johan's just hanging on here, isn't he? Can't see. Is it front left gone down? Doesn't look like it.
I thought it was wobbling around a little bit. I could be completely wrong. They've had boost issues this year, haven't they?
Good for Johan. So that's a good indicator. I think Johan lets German go. So yeah, another issue with the Polo. Not the factory Polo, remember, family-run one. They're working their way through things and trying to get it to the level they'd like it at.
I also think they're a little bit mystified with the problems because they're a great team, KMS, and they put in a lot of work to get the car to work, and it just seems to have some sort of gremlin, some sort of little thing going on.
Gronholm comes out from the joker lap. clearly in front, miles in front. Midtschlag's nowhere to be seen. Johan at the back. This is a bad start for Johan. Just look at how many cars we got, how 12, haven't we? So they're all going to make it through to the semis. So actually, you could have a shocker, couldn't you? And you'll still make it. But you are going to need to be on the front row, or front 2 rows at the very least, if you want to stand a chance of making it through to the final. So Gustafson will hope that maybe somebody in the last one has a problem. Down the bottom of the screen, remember to hit subscribe if you want to see more Rallycross. Of course you do. Gronholm takes it 3:04.1. That's the same time as Eid. Now, so it's done the same time. Oh, sorry, 3:00. That was my bad. I was looking at the target time. So it's 3:00.9. So Gronholm's gone significantly quicker.
His lap times were half a second quicker than Ida was going as well. So not a complete surprise. And then obviously Enzo's lost out on the 3-second penalty as well. Nicholas Gronholm takes the race win from Anders Michalak.
German and Gustafson with an issue. So Gronholm leading the session, but penalties, as we say, for Eid and Carlson. Eid would still have been 3 and a bit seconds back. So this one, another couple of stories for you. Henrik Harpamaki is back in the starred electric rallycross machine. He looked fast this morning. Then it's Jari Kalliokoski, Jari Turri and Juha Rutkanen. Rutkanen on the outside was a podium finisher at Kuvula earlier on this year, last year. Good start by Rutkanen outside. Harpamaki has got a little bit too much wheel spin. Kalliokoski dropped back in. Kalliokoski, sorry, dropped back in into P2. Where will Harpamaki go? Harpamaki goes standard lap. I might have got Joker from P3 there. I tell you what, the start machine's looking equal to the supercars so far.
Bit of a lock up on the brakes for Rutkanen coming into the first corner, but he got it stopped. Got all the way across the grid, didn't he? In this Ken Block, Nicholas Gronholm, Rainer's Nittis title winning M Sport built Ford Fiesta. I think the car's very, very capable, isn't it? And he's obviously proved how capable he is in the World Championship as a driver too. So this can be a really potent combination this weekend.
That car was really very good. When Ken first brought it across the World Championship, I think it was probably a bit of a wake-up call to everyone else in the World Championship. Actually, you know, we could be developing our cars more, and we saw then the development race when the manufacturers appeared was insane. So much so that it's probably not now quite as capable of Harpamaki. That's a disastrous decision to go that late, but look at the torque of the thing. It's just absolutely ludicrous. Any IC car would have needed to go down about 3 cogs to pull back out of that slide. He's lit it up and buried it and pulled the car back again. So Harpamaki with either a late decision or maybe a mistake in turn 1. That was to cover off Turri, who is behind. I'll be interested to see what Rutkanen can do this weekend. Rutkanen, of course, Hal as well, is one of the drivers who's come here with 8 new tyres per round. Well, will it be tomorrow? No,
just
tomorrow.
for today. So he needs to make the most of them today, doesn't he?
Yeah, very much. So as a new driver, can have all new tyres, 8 new tyres. If you've done around the Nordic before, you come in with 4 new and 4 used. And it is an issue because we've seen McConnell, Gustafson and Gronholm play the tactics game this morning. Although Gronholm told me, no tactics, I'm just going to go out there and send it, was actually what he said. Not quite so many words, didn't he? He was like, no plan, just go. And we quite liked that. We'll have to say we were having a little bit of a chuckle about that.
Kalliokoski's gone Joker on the penultimate lap. He's going to try the undercut on Rutkanen. Kalliokoski in his own team's run car, but it was originally built by Stard with a Pipo engine. So same engine setup, a pretty similar car really to the M Sport built car that's leading up front, but they do have differences. We won't see what the gap is until Rutkanen's in the Joker, which we'll go to now.
So Rutkanen turns in on the inside line. It's a tidy entry, going to get across onto the loose. A little bit of left foot brake, flip the car in. I don't think he is wide on the exit. It's going to be close between them. Kalliokoski tries around the outside of Rutkanen. Rutkanen shuts the door. Kalliokoski is not there. I think that Joker lap left-hander is trickier than it looks. There's some kind of a rut potentially on the exit, and you just saw Rutkanen run a little bit wide, but the gap was enough. What was it?
The gap was 5.8 as they crossed the line, so it is a
long 5.5, isn't it?
Long Joker, isn't it? That's 5.5 in lights and in Supercar.
Juha Rutkanen aiming for the best time of Nicholas Gronholm of 3:00.986. He's not going to be far off, and that is impressive in that car. Very impressive indeed. 3:03.2 goes quicker than Evgen had gone. And Eid, of course, Eid was the winner of Q1 Heat 1 until he got a penalty. So did Carlson. That made Evgen the winner. So what was that one? That was a 3. Gronholm wins the session. Rutkanen was a 3.03. Here's Rutkanen. You see coming out through the... I don't know, maybe it's just how you apply the throttle. To be fair, I think that's pretty mint by Rutkanen.
Sorry to interrupt, Andrew. I think Rutkanen might have picked up a 3-second penalty there for clipping that bollard on the exit of the Joker. Maybe that's the bollard that they've been collecting to get that 3-second penalty. Popped up on the timing screen that number 80 got a penalty, but it was actually number 18, I think. And we just saw the bollard giving up there.
Good shout, Hal. 3.06.2 he's given. So Rutkanen drops back. And it's Kalliokoski who leads the times. Yeah, confirmation of a 3-second penalty for Rutkanen.
Hot on the track marker penalties, aren't they, today?
Right, we are going to take a short break and we'll be back at 14:50 with Q2. So, go and get yourself a brew or a beer, depending on what time of day it is, and we'll be back soon. Well, he could open up, but it would be shit. He knows his time. Yeah, like go through.
I can hear you now, mate. Yeah, I can hear myself.
Give me a 10 count. Hal?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm incredibly loud in my own ears now.
Right, program definitely doesn't work for me, so my program... Thanks, mate.
Yeah, program is just you.
That's fine, but if it works...
We just need something else for the...
For cars,
for track.
yeah. So we can take, but my program doesn't work. So it counts to me.
1,
Thanks,
2,
mate.
3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
6, 7.
Okay, that's cool.
8.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Working?
So no, that's right. We'll let our A1 guy sort it. Sorry, mate. What was your name again? Apologies. Ricky, thank you, mate. I'll write it down. I'm just terrible. It's bad. I'm bad enough with the drivers. You're not alone. Right. And then I just need to figure out. So that's me.
So if I go on talkback,
Yeah.
talk to the truck, can you hear me?
No. No.
That's good.
Right. If I go on talkback, can you hear me?
No, I can't now.
Okay, that's good. Right. So talkback is working. That's good. Yeah, that's fine. So I can still hear my. No, I can't. Yeah, that's okay. So I can not hear myself. Okay. Yeah, program's gone. Sorry, yeah. Thanks, mate. So loud. Like I've got it all down, almost down to nothing. It's weird, isn't it? Unless does that do anything to me? No, it doesn't. You see, that's normally your own side tone, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Right, let me try. Hal, talk to me.
1, 2, Andrew. 1, 2. On air is on. Getting loads of WhatsApps now, mate.
So also, Ricky, can you hear us on PGM? You can, can't you?
So,
yeah, no, I mean, are you listening to us now on PGM though? Yeah, yeah. So basically, the two rotational buttons, mic A and mic B, you know, they're not the programmable ones. They're normally our own side tone, and they don't work at all. Are they supposed to? Guys, we're live to YouTube right now. Someone needs to sort this out. Calla, we're live to YouTube now. People are telling us they can hear us. So something is definitely going on here today.
Right now?
Yeah.
we're doing a sound.
Live,
Right,
but
we're
they took you down.
No, but we're...
We're doing some testing, so we just need to ditch the audio.
Lots of people...
Okay, I can hear you now.
But we need to be live on the desk. They've faded us up in the truck to try and solve the audio problems.
Yeah, but
Hello from Ouluzone in Finland. We are about 30 kilometres away from Oulu, which is around 160 kilometres away from the Arctic Circle. It is a lovely hot day. You've just missed Q1. How very dare you? Luckily, you can join us for Q2, which is starting very shortly indeed. My name is Andrew Coley. Joining me on commentary, as always, is Hal Ridge here in the commentary box. The start line's just up here behind us. The side of the truck actually got hit with gravel earlier on, which was very exciting. It was a good first session. It's a lot of tarmac here, some gravel straights as well. We mentioned we're going to show you a couple of things. We never got round to it. So let's go. First of all, here is the poster that I got given. What do you think about that, Hal? Here's what you could have won. I quite like that. It's good, isn't it?
Very good, yeah.
Yes, there we go. So I got a poster. Hal didn't. That's good.
Another win.
Right, and then this. Okay, this is... I'm going to come... Can I come round there? Is this danger? I'm going to go anyway. This is the full send medal. Here we go, look. So do you see this? This was sent by Keith Colton. It's probably out of focus. There we go. Look, that's the full. That's the full send. So lick the stamp and send it, basically. And we've got a bunch of these to give out, so we're going to give them out as the weekend goes on. There we go. Right, let's take a look at the standings. Intermediate standings for Supercar. First of all, Niklas Gronholm leads from Jari Kaliakoski and Juha Rötkönen. Sondre Evshen fourth, Michalak is fifth, Eid, McConnell, Carlson, German, Harpermaki, and then Turri and Gustafson. Look, he's down in P12. Just didn't go his way in Q1. Problems with the car. We haven't had any confirmation of what that was. Isak Sokvist, then Anderson, Olekainen, Olofsson, Janssen, Halman, Ostland, Jonsson and Enland are the top 10 in Supercar Lights. Crosscar, Baldins leads from Hallberg, Osberg, Kaliamaki, Nittish and Riasson. Fierce battle expected between them. So close in terms of the lap times at the very top of Crosscar. It's been close actually across all the classes, which is great fun for us. Open two-wheel drive, Simon Tiger leads, but some of those locals were looking like they might be able to threaten, so Simon will need to continue to get the good starts. And Crosscar Junior. Now, Crosscar Junior, of course, is what you're going to be seeing in just a few moments. Michael Uito, the leader from Persson, Kaliakoski, Jullilami, Hallinen, Nilsson, Hattenmar, Suono, Gustafson and Turpainen. Right. Studio is on the right there. On the left is the big white truck next to the track is the TV truck. That's where all the people who are genuinely clever, unlike me and Hal, are sitting and making things happen. To the right of the tower, you can see where the studio was, where me and Hal are, and also graphics and our edit squad. We've got our drone pilot in here sometimes as well. Fastest first. So this will be the top 5 from the previous session. Uito, Persson, Kaliakoski, Jullilami and Hallinen. Good start for Jullilami from slot number 4 on the grid in the red and white buggy, going to try and shut the door, and everyone on the inside, if they go too late on the brakes, they can force him wide. Jullilami does a nice job. I think you can compromise yourself through that turn 1 and make sure you get the lead in the background. Is that Hallinen's side? He's on the brakes, or is Hallinen gone joker? No, it's Hallinen, I think. Oh, no, not sure.
Yeah, Hallinen's running third currently, isn't he, in this pack? Right up behind Rasmus Persson, who's in the new cross-car machine for this year, the Speed Car Wonder, that's called, isn't it? The evolution of the Speed Car.
Yeah, different chassis come this year, hasn't it? Which is headed much more towards the FIA's new chassis regulations. Hallinen side by side on the run down to the last corner with Persson on the inside line. Persson chucks it in. Hallinen gets a bit sideways in the background. Maybe going to lose another place here. Holds on though.
Lots of mud getting kicked up now, isn't there, on the watered loose section? Filling the windscreens in. Hallinen ducks out to the joker, filling the windscreens in with wet mud, and that's going to make visibility really difficult. They've got good wipers on these cars, but it's not like having a full windscreen in a car where it'll clear a lot better. It's only a small amount of room to clear the visibility. Jullilami still running out front, followed by Persson. Hallinen's now taken the joker and dropped back, but can't see whether he's in clear air or not. Kaliakoski also yet to joker. He's running third currently. Jullilami putting a bit of a gap on Persson now. With a couple of laps left to go, he's going to leave his Joker till the end. That's a classic thing to do, to lead and go to the end on the last lap. Person, meanwhile, is going for the undercut. He's run a little bit wide in the Joker section and drop back. He's going to pop out behind Kaliakowski now, and he's looking to the in. Sorry, that's not Kaliakowski at all. It's Uito. These cars look so similar from a from a long way away. It's very difficult to recognise some of them.
We've had quite a lot going on as well, let's say. I think some of you joined us for the 20-minute break and had a wonderfully joyous look at behind the scenes of television. Oh, the glamour. That's basically 90% of the job. The 10% bit is just talking about cars. The talking about cars is our favourite bit, in case you hadn't gathered. It's lucky me and Hal were on our best behaviour, wasn't it, for you who are listening at home? So
I'm always on my best behaviour.
Yeah, well, we do our best, don't we? We do our best. Rain. Might rain tomorrow.
Rubbish.
You don't think
I don't
so?
believe it, no.
I reckon it might.
Look at the clouds.
Do I reckon those bars are still going to be packed if it does rain? The bars in Finland have only just opened literally this last week, so everyone in town was quite excited, to say the least. I'm not going to deny that. I think me and Hal were quite excited as well, so we did have just a couple of beers last night, which was nice. We arrived it felt like travelling all day, didn't it, just to get to Finland? But
a 2-hour time difference makes a big difference from the UK, doesn't it?
Yeah, you lose so much time. We flew out the UK at 10 in the morning and then lost a ton of time immediately. Ended up landing, well, you got to Oulu around 6 p.m. yesterday. 50-minute connection. Me and Hal joke a lap through, check out and check back in again. Hal's bag just made it, literally just made it. Your bag was in P12 in the semi-finals, wasn't it? Basically onto the plane, he just scraped it through.
P1 on the baggage belt, though, and that's all that matters,
yeah,
isn't it?
he's got the whole shot on the baggage belt. Yeah, he did. He was so pleased. He took a picture of it. Aren't we sad? The Unitin Yulilami went to the 3:29.7. I was going to compare that to the first session. 3:27.7 was the winning time there, but that is 2 seconds quicker for Yulilami. It was a 3:31.6 last time. Remember, the track had been watered. So 3:29 for Yulilami. We've got all new grids and everything, new pens in here. We have new water bottles. Do you see that? We've got water bottles with their own names on them. So we don't do anything silly and drink from someone else's water bottle. It's not allowed in these days. You know, you can't have a sip of somebody else's water. It's just not allowed. No fun. Eric Nilsson, Hattenmar, Suono, Gustafson and Turpainen in this one. I love the way the juniors are on the rev limit to the second the marshal gives them the thumbs up. So I'm just going to stay on the rev limit until I go. And on the inside, it's Nilsson who goes with the best reaction time and start by a mile. Gaining on him a little bit on the run to the first corner. Try and run the pack deep, but not too deep, and maybe a little bit too deep. Someone going to get up the inside. Oh dear, that's Turpainen has been turned around in the Joker lap. Didn't see who by. Was it Hattenmar?
Hattenmar. He made a poor start. He made a poor start in the first session as well, I think, didn't he? So, yeah, again, not getting away from the line perfectly. He made a little bit of a late decision to go into the Joker, but perfectly within his rights to do that. And they just had a little coming together side by side. Alex Gustafson running third. I feel like Alex spends a lot of time just being there or thereabouts. Richard Burns style from the WRC era, from when I was young and being a fan of motorsport. You know, just always being around.
Now he's old and he doesn't like it anymore. He does. No, I know what you mean. Yeah.
No, but just you always associate things from your youth, don't you? And I think Burns had that real style of just always being there, always collecting points. And I feel like Alex is a bit like that as well. Very rarely do we see a stunning performance until it's absolutely necessary, and then he smashes it in and delivers brilliant results.
And yeah, I know what you mean by that. Well, you don't mean that they're not quick. What you mean is they don't drop the ball and end up with 0 points. And you often see a lot of drivers are hero or zero, aren't they? I suppose Colin McRae's the best comparison with Richard Burns. You know, it's that constant collection of. You're talking P2, P3, P2, P3, and then the wins when you need it for the championship. Some brilliant tries by Burns, weren't there? Yeah,
that's the perfect comparison, isn't it? So the McRae flat-out approach, questionable whether he's going to stay on the road or not. Burns will get to the end and be there to fight the finish. I listened to a wonderful, but we're digressing massively, aren't we? I listened to a wonderful podcast the other day with Robert Reed talking to Chris Harris, who has presented Top Gear and stuff at home in the UK, and Robert was saying that year that Burns won the championship, they were almost expecting McRae to try and smash the times in and go off the road trying to beat them, and exactly played out how they expected. You know, it's a real... To make it
confidence to do that as well, because when you go there, they might be quicker than me, but how much risk are they taking? The thing was with rallycross is you get the contact almost. You get the chance to make that comparison to your competitors directly on tracks. You go, yeah, he's taking risks, he's dropping a wheel off the side of the road here and there. With rallying, it's not quite the same. Sometimes you come through and see a line, or if you're running up front, and you go, blimey, that line through there was pretty wild, and you know there's only one car in front of you, you know it's your competitor, you can see if they're taking risks, but it's not so easy. So you've got to have confidence to go, I'm going to drive at 99% and not crash. And if he goes at 101 and crashes, but it's how long, you know what I mean, don't you? The balls to not take those risks.
And the comparison here with Alex Gustafson, who stemmed this topic, is that he's quite, it seems to me at least, and I've chatted with Jarl Gustafson, the JC team principal, a few times about it, that he's not necessarily comfortable, not necessarily happy, but he is comfortable to sit second when necessary. Knows that it's not all about winning every single race in every single session. It's about being there or thereabouts at the end, and that's how you win titles, isn't it?
I was going to say that's former world champion style, because you're future world champion style, sorry, you have to... Yeah, it's the long game. Yeah, they're 10 rounds or whatever it happens to be in a championship year, and you just need to make sure you keep collecting those points. Points mean prizes. Super close race between the juniors. Nilsson leads from Gustafson. Gustafson covered in mud. Poor old juniors are having to wash the cars every single run. Nilsson takes it. Not going to go quicker though, 3:31.1. Trying to see what Nilsson did in the previous one, and it was a P6 with a 3:32.9. So both our winners have gone quicker than they went last time. But Uito was 3:27.7 in that first one. Uito, do you know what? Look at the times, Hal. What heat was it? Was Uito in the last one? I was going to check my grids for Junior from the previous session, because I wonder if Uito was so quick on a drying track last time. There you can see the DNF for Terpainen. Having a look now to see Junior, where was it? 10,000 pieces of paper in the commentary box. No, Uito was in the second race. So Uito's killer time in Q1 was still on a track which had just been watered. I wondered if he'd gone in race 3.
I think it's a bit wet. I think there's more water gone down this time.
Terpainen's going to have a bit of a send anyway. It's a DNF about 10 minutes back, but going to chuck it over the line. Good for you. Good for you.
Can I just have a look at those grids again?
You may.
I didn't get any.
No, oh yes, you didn't, did you? Yeah, Hal's very good, you see. We tried to share, but I'm not very good at sharing. Were you laughing at my handwriting there, Hal Ridge? I wrote down the registration plate of our hire car yesterday at the hotel, and the girl goes, "I'm sorry, what is this?" And so I just gave her the keyring, which had it nicely typed on, because my handwriting is absolutely atrocious. Tinka Bergamaki in the middle of the grid. Down to turn 1 first, screeching of tyres in turn 1. Turn 1's deceptive, isn't it, Hal? I think the drop into the apex there is much more than we're seeing from the side of the road. I was talking to the head of the Swedish Junior Federation team earlier on, and saying that they used to do much more coaching at the events, but that actually they don't do so much of that. A little bit more with the juniors now. But he'd said that he'd spoken to his cross-car drivers, the guys on the Swedish team, and they said that if you miss the braking point in turn 1, because it's downhill, it just magnifies that mistake a lot. And I think we're seeing that, aren't we? The exit, everybody seems to run wider than I would assume the ultimate best line is.
Yeah, I think you're completely correct. It's, you can't afford to give anything up on the entry, can you? To maintain that exit speed, the mid-corner speed. It's a strange profile of the corner as well, isn't it? Because it's sort of tight, like the circuit racing angle of the corner is actually very tight there, isn't it, as it tightens? But because they run so much wider, the profile's so much more open. So it's all about just being on the apex and then carrying that momentum through, isn't it?
That is Maishu Niemi coming from the Joker. There's the super long left-hander we've been telling you about in the middle of the track. sideways to victory. Lucas Anderson. 3 laps to go. It's not victory yet, but you know, it just sounds cool, doesn't it? Look at that, great style, really great style. How old's Lucas?
Remember, he had a problem in Q1, didn't he? And lost time, but then things got moving again, and he was able to catch back up. So he's doing comparable lap times. He's just done a 48.3 on the previous lap.
Championship leader, don't forget, with 2 wins and a third.
Yeah, I think the 48.3 would have been the fastest lap of the previous session of anyone. So
decent battle going on here. Up the inside, Joachim Lunderlander. Doesn't quite make that stick, though. Tinka Perilamäki holding on to the position. Great names.